Okay, good morning. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners Agenda Setting Work Session for this Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. It's 9:03 a.m. My name is Ty Mentor, Chair of the Board. Present through our virtual platform is both Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards and Commissioner Carolina Mejia. We have the County Manager Amira Chavez and Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell in the boardroom. The public can follow along through our county YouTube channel, where this meeting is being live streamed and will also be archived. We're slated for 3 hours. There will be a break in the middle at noon. If we're still, I have a hard stop personally at noon. So if the meeting is still going at that point, I will pass the baton to Vice Chair Edwards to finish things out, but we'll try to see if we can wrap up by noon. Starting off is our COVID-19 update. And I see our Director of Public Health and Social Services, Shelley Slaughter. I'll just go straight to you, Shelley.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Today is day 594 of Thurston County's COVID-19 emergency response. To date, in the state of Washington, 628,488 people have been confirmed to have COVID-19 since the pandemic began, and 7,271 Washingtonians have lost their lives. This includes 17,022 cases in Thurston County residents, with 183 people that have lost their lives. This week, we had 675 new cases and are currently at 460.1 on the Governor's Risk Assessment Dashboard, which has gone down slightly, so that's good news. We have had 9 new deaths occur this last week, and that does not include reports by Providence St. Peter Hospital this week. There is a delay in official death reports that come to our office through death certificates. So we know that the death toll is much higher in Thurston County this week than what we are recording this morning, which is 9. Our hospital capacity remains critically high. To date, 1,097 Thurston County residents have been hospitalized. Our ICU capacity in Thurston County is at 100%. There are 0 ICU beds available as of this morning. That does change periodically throughout the day, but that is the current census. And our acute hospital capacity is at 97%. So also very full. We have had 84 congregate care outbreaks to date, 15 that our team are currently investigating. Our test positivity rate that we have available this morning at our last assessment was 25.2%. That is extremely high. There is a current delay in labs reporting tests to us, so this number may change. I also wanted to go back to the hospital data for this morning. There are currently 53 COVID patients hospitalized. 44 of those are on vents, and 4 died this morning. We do have testing events available in our community. Our community-based testing team will be in Rochester this morning and afternoon. We'll be in Lacey tomorrow, Union Gospel Mission on Thursday, and Evergreen State College on Friday. Strongly encourage people to get tested if they are experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 because our community transmission rate is so high. Moving to vaccines, we've administered 331,296 doses of COVID-19 vaccine. At our Thurston County Public Health vaccine clinics, we administered 698 doses over this last week, and our team does a fabulous job with that, and we are available at the mall 7 days a week for anyone who is interested in getting a vaccine. 59.5% of Thurston County residents have initiated at least 1 dose, and 54.2% of Thurston County residents are now fully vaccinated. 70.5% of people 16 and older have initiated at least one dose. So we finally reached that milestone a few months later than we hoped, but that is encouraging. And 64.3% of those 16 and older are fully vaccinated. For those 12 and up, 69.3% have initiated at least one dose, and 63.1% of our population that is 12 and older is fully vaccinated. We do anxiously await more information on when pediatric vaccines for those ages 5 to 12 will become available. And we are also waiting for approval to administer booster doses of Pfizer to those that are eligible. That is still yet to be determined. I know members of the public are very interested and anxious for that, and it's likely going to be several weeks before we will be able to administer booster doses for those that qualify. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Commissioner Mejia, anything for Shelley?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, I'm curious, of all those thousands that have come down with this virus and have recovered, how many of those have again caught this virus and maybe needed to be hospitalized, or it was brought to our attention that, so kind of like if you get the vaccination, a very small percent of the folks seem to be coming down with this anyway, and they have a less serious outcome. I'm wondering if that same thing applies to those that have already come down with it and recovered, and then maybe came down with it again. Could you fill us in on that?
What we know thus far is that having received the vaccine over the virus itself does seem to provide more protection against infection and severe illness, including hospitalization and death. That is why we continue to encourage people who have tested positive for COVID-19 or had a confirmed case of COVID-19 to still get a vaccine, because that's going to give the most available protection. I don't have the exact data report for reinfection, but I'm happy to get that information and get it over to you, Commissioner Edwards. Okay,
so the information's available, we just don't have it readily available, is that right?
I don't have it prepared for me this morning, but I can certainly follow up to get that.
Okay, I really would like to get that, because I think the public would like to know that comparison number, if you would. Thank you.
Shelley, the only question I had is, are the numbers we getting now, I forget the lag period, are the numbers we getting now, would they based on Labor Day surge that we were worried about? I'm just wondering if that would be something we can tell yet, that there's any kind of Labor Day spike, or is that still something that might come next week? Or
I expect that we're likely to see that come more next week. It's usually about 3 weeks after there are holidays or events where we see virus spike due to people gathering.
okay.
So we're watchful for that. Also, same thing for schools. Once schools have been in session for about 3 weeks, we'll have a little better idea as to how that is going as well.
Thank you, Shelley.
So much.
Okay, let's go to item 2, homeless strategies update. And Keely Marino is here. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Keely Marino with Public Health and Social Services. Just a few updates for you today. Exciting news in the interfaith works kind of world. All of their permits that they've been waiting to see cleared have cleared for construction to begin on 3444 Martin Way, which is going to be the overflow shelter for those individuals that are currently over the age of 65 and currently residing at First United Methodist Church in Olympia. So we're hoping that that is a swift build, and we can they can start operating that shelter very, very soon. They're also 75% done with construction at 2828 Martin Way, which is the combination 60-bed shelter on the bottom floor and about 60 permanent supportive housing units up above, a combination between Interfaith Works and Low Income Housing Institute. That property is now called Unity Village. So they're hopeful that they'll be able to start operating out of that shelter in December. So very excited. We are moving forward with drafting an MOU with City of Olympia to just expand scattered site if need be. We also will be getting weekly data reports from Olympia Mutual Aid Partners on the work that they've been doing in scattered site. They've spent the last several weeks working on getting a bunch of names into the Homeless Management Information Services database, which takes an extraordinary amount of time and effort to get everyone entered in. And so now they'll be able to pull data and get it to us on a weekly basis. So we should have that for you next week. And then, of course, rounding out the report with an update on the TRAP program, CYS holding steady at having distributed $620,000 in rental assistance for youth and or young adults ages 18 to 24. And CAC had a record week last week. They were able to distribute $1.8 million in rental assistance in 1 week. To this date, they have paid out $16 million or so in rental assistance and have served 2,279 households all told. At least, or just under half of those are households with children under 18. So I guess that's it. That's it for me.
Commissioner Mejia,
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards.
No, sir.
Keely, my question is about the first item you mentioned, the 3444 Martin Way. Is that the I can't remember the name they called it, sprung structure or something like that, that the county invested in back last year?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
Great. Well, that's good to hear. And then just to make sure I heard you correctly, on Unity Village, you said it's 75% through construction, and you said
Correct.
it'll be operating in December?
That's the hope that December they'll be in operation.
Okay. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to item 3, a review of this afternoon's proposed agenda for the board meeting. And we start with Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Mejia, minutes and agenda and minutes to be considered. Opportunity for the public to address the board, county manager's update. Any items, Ramiro, for our attention?
Yes, I'd like to follow up with a couple of comments we received last week. One was from Mr. Carmen related to disposal of materials on the fairground property. My report will be that I'm going to be having a meeting with the staff to follow up to relate to his comments. So at this point, I really don't have a direct response, but I just want to acknowledge that I'm working on that. And also related to the representative from LeMay, they provided a letter related to the contracts with solid waste. We have scheduled an executive session with the board tomorrow afternoon for you to go through with the attorneys some of the issues they highlighted on the correspondence as well as on their testimony. And soon after that, we got my response to their comments. That will be my response this afternoon.
I have a question about that, sir.
Yep. Go ahead.
As we move forward with that, I don't know if my seatmates received a correspondence, but I received correspondence in writing and was asked for a response, which I have not done yet. And my concern was that I was told there was a recycle facility over in Shelton, and apparently that's not true. So my concern, should I wait, is legal here? I mean, I've been wondering if I should talk to these folks now, but are you suggesting that we wait until after we have an executive session?
Yeah, Commissioner, I will strongly encourage you to wait until you have that information from the attorneys tomorrow in the executive session. There's an active contract that we're currently negotiating, and I don't think it will be prudent to engage on any type of response until you have legal advice.
Okay, thank you.
Ramiro, I didn't quite catch the first part of your in terms of the comments about Mr. Carmen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is your report going to be today?
My report is going to be I'm going to be acknowledging his comments, and I'm working with the staff, and if I could have a couple of meetings to go through specifically the items that he highlighted on his comments he provided last week.
Okay.
So I will not have a direct response to Mr. Carmen's comments this afternoon. I just want to make sure that I'm in the process of following up to his comments.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I had a couple conversations myself, and it didn't sound like I didn't want us to be getting ahead of where maybe the situation stands. Okay, well, more to come there. Commissioner Mejia, anything on all of that?
No, sir.
Okay, then let's look at the consent agenda. Item 3A is Public Works reclassifying, resolution reclassifying position 34R00999.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. You reviewed this item last week. This is a request from Public Works to reclassify an existing vacant position from a building and grounds maintenance specialist to an environmental operations technician. And this is related to assessing their business needs in Public Works, particularly related on the solid waste. And there is a need to provide this high level of operations and functions, which the current position doesn't allow to do that. The salary impact will be from $5,203 to $6,641 per month. That will be just about 28% increase, and that will be covered by the solid waste fund, which is generated by the tipping fees.
Commissioner Mejia, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Okay. Item 3B, also Public Works, also a resolution reclassifying position.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. You also reviewed this item, and you have a follow-up questions, which I have some responses to your questions. In this particular request is for you to consider reclassifying a vacant education outreach specialist 1 position for a senior program manager. And this is in relation to meet the demands of how we need to start implementing the solid waste management plan. And last week, Commissioner Menser stated that let me give you the rest of the information. This particular position will have an impact, a change in salary from $6,325 per month to $8,843 per month. It's just about $2,518. So you know the solid waste management plan as approved by the board has a lot of elements that needs to be implemented. And it requires the senior program managers to oversee the implementation of all the different activities within this plan. Last week, Commissioner Mesa said if this particular action is taken, how many educational and outreach specialists we left? Because there is a key elements with solid waste management plan that we need to have education and outreach. So Public Works reported that if the board considers this action, there will be 3 environmental education and outreach staff in Public Works with education and outreach supervisor. There is also additional 3 education and outreach staff from public health that is funded by the Solid Waste Fund, which also will be part of the education and outreach efforts to implement the strategies outlined in the Solid Waste Management Plan. I believe that is the question the Commissioner Messer had last week.
So we're going to, sir, I jumped in.
Yep. No, you're good. Go ahead, Commissioner.
So we've got 7 that are in that category now, and we're going to change it to 6. We're still going to be able to do the job.
After, if the board takes this action, it will be a total of 7 left.
7 left. So what, we have 8
Yeah.
now?
That's my understanding.
And this is just a job change for one of those employees?
Yeah, it's one vacant position. is not an existing, is not a individual holding that position.
Okay, but we're still going to meet the requirement of the education and outreach.
That is correct. Yeah,
Okay.
that is the commitment from Public Works.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mejia?
No, no questions. You
Okay.
asked my question.
Thank you. Appreciate that context. Let's go to item 3C. Does the board have any questions on the voucher list? Nope.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Then item 4A is Agricultural Advisory Committee under Commissioners heading.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Normally this item, appointments or not to boards and commissions are done on an executive, in the consent agenda, sorry. This particular item, the board discussed last week, and it was a request to have this as a department item for each commissioner to exercise their individual vote related to this particular item.
Yep. Commissioner Mejia, anything?
No, not at this time.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Okay, me neither. Let's go to item 4B, lease for 3000 Pacific Avenue.
Thank you, Commissioners. You also discussed this last week within majority of the board asked me to bring formal action for you to consider approving a 7-year lease with a couple of extensions for the 3000 Pacific Avenue. As we have been discussing, this lease is 7 years with an options of extension. We have provided you with an escalation factor in the past as to how much it will cost a year. And the first year is $1,546,000 or thereabouts. To the 7th year will be $1,811,093. And also we have informed the board and on many occasions the tenant improvements and the costs associated with that, as well as the funding source in which those tenant improvements will be covered. Attached for your in your packet is the lease that includes all the elements related to this particular option. And there were a couple of comments related to the lease, and I'd like to probably bring your attention to this item number 7 of this lease. You have the document itself.
What page is that on?
And that is on page 3 of 15. And the page numbers up here. And I believe it was Commissioner Mesa, Commissioner Edwards, and Commissioner Mejia would like to see what options they would have as sublease, and I believe this language addresses some of those concerns. If I may, I can read out loud, if you like. And also, I'm sorry to give you time to read that. For the general public, this is related to assignments and sublease. And that was one of the, I believe, some of the items that Commissioner Edwards and Commissioner Mejia would like to add to the lease, and that has been added. Also, in your packet is a copy of the revised schedule. If the board decides to take an action on this, then this is the schedule that we have already worked with the property owner to, and at this point, if everything moves corrected by the end of April 2022, we'll be occupying the building. So, any questions related to this item? I do have a follow-up item related to this, but.
Well, Chair, I do.
Yep.
I guess I've already made my position fairly clear on this, but for my seatmates as well, I have to say, getting information to take a vote on the same day we get the information I mean, I don't know if there's a rush. I just don't hardly think it's fair to my seatmates to digest everything on the same day we're expected to take a vote. So it doesn't necessarily apply to me. I'm not complaining because I don't think I see anything that's going to change my position. But it seems like we're always pushed into making votes with brand new information, that's all. So I guess I'll just let it go at that. I don't want to speak for my seatmates.
Ramiro, was there if I remember correctly, there is an item later in the agenda that bears some...
It's related to this, yes, absolutely. This is related to the new information that we received related to the revenue that may affect, the 2022-2023 biennial budget. But may I be allowed to respond to Mr. Edwards, Commissioner Edwards' comment?
Yes, go ahead.
He's correct. This is a document, lease document that we're presented to you. And it includes, the normal language or any type of lease documents that the board has processed in the past. But the information within that includes the rental rate, as well as the tenant improvements, this has been provided to the board, if not for a couple months, if not more. So this is a conversation the board has continued to have related to the lease rates as well as the tenant improvements. And that is really the information that is already put in this document. So I understand that this is a document itself that you see this today, but the context, the content in the document, which is the lease, as well as the tenant improvements in the facilities, as well as now the new schedule as to when we're going to be able to move, that has been discussed with the board on many occasions in the past.
Commissioner Mejia?
Give me 1 second if you have questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure. I just want to, I'll just say that if we get to item 3 or whatever under commissioner items and we need to go back here, we can do that. So, just for what that's worth. If there's anything later in the agenda that bears on a commissioner's decision, we can certainly come back and reopen this conversation at the right moment.
Let's do that, please.
Okay, so we'll keep it where it is for the time being, and we may revisit it later this morning. Then let's look at 5A. Public Works Professional Services Contract for Water and Sewer Utility Rate Design and Financial Advisory Services.
Yeah, this is a follow-up to many conversations where the board has been informed of the options to explore the consolidation of the sewer and water utilities. There's been a couple of briefings for the board, and the board authorized to further explore this option by securing the services of a consultant engineering firm to get us to the point of the details as to how this could be an option for the county. There were total of 3 proposals, and Commissioner Edwards requested last week what specific proposals were. Here I'm to report we have 3 proposals, one from HDR, which the total bid, including the optional items, were $87,397.10. The other proposal was Ratellis of $70,330, and the FCS Group, which is this is the proposal for you to consider toward the contract to you, and the bid was $69,412. So the department is recommending for you to award the contract to FCS Group.
The dollar amount
Yeah.
differs from What's on here?
Yeah, which includes,
Is that the 10% thrown in there possibly?
the dollar amount 61,000, that's a good catch. Let me double check, because the total cost of the FCS group is 69,412. But there's a couple optional items in there. I'm wondering if Public Works just pick a couple of those optional items.
I don't have that sheet.
No.
Okay, good.
But I'll follow up with that and making sure. I just want to make sure that the Commissioner Edwards asked the questions, any other vendors who provided a bid, and if there were the other two who provided that bid.
Okay, thank you.
Tim Wilson's here.
Yeah, Tim, can you clarify on the 61,000 versus the 69,000?
Absolutely. Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, that's exactly right. So how we came to the $61,010 that we're going to be asking the board to approve this afternoon is we accepted the base bid by FCS Group, which evaluates revenue requirements for both consolidated and unconsolidated utilities and provides some rate designs for both options as well. But we added some optional items. The optional items that we added were for enhanced public outreach. So that increased the cost from their base bid of $46,704 to the $61,010.
Commissioner Mejia, any questions on that?
No questions on that. If the price went down, it's always good, right?
Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir, that's fine.
All right, thank you, Tim.
It's funny how we get so used to these masks, we don't even know if we've got them on or not.
I appreciate that, Commissioner.
All right, let's look at, all right, then 6A will be commissioner reports, and then county manager reviewing our schedule, and that will be that for this Tuesday's agenda. So let's set that to one side and look at item 4, which is a review of the proposed agenda for next Tuesday, September 28th. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Vice Chair Edwards. We'll look at the agenda and board meeting minutes from today. There are 3 scheduled presentations. The first one is pretrial services, introduction to pretrial services employee.
Yeah, Mary Ann Clear, the Director of Pretrial Services, will come to the board and introduce Lisa Jackson as the new Pretrial Services Officer.
Straightforward. Any questions from the board?
No, sir.
Second item will be a proclamation, the Auditor's Department for National Voter Registration Day.
Yeah, Mary Hall, the County Auditor, will be present for you to consider proclaiming Tuesday, September 28, 2021 as National Voter Registration Day in Thurston County.
Okay. Anything from the board?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, and then will it be a you might have said this, but representative of the auditor's office to accept or?
Yeah, Mary Hall should be, I'm planning to be here, I believe.
Okay, the auditor herself. Very good. Proclamation for Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month is next.
Yes, for your consideration is this proclamation is for you to declare September 2021 as Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month in Thurston County. Commissioner Mejia is going to be reaching out to members of the community who would like to attend this proclamation next Tuesday.
Any questions, Commissioner Mejia?
No, sir. I've reached out to organizations such as CLO, the Hispanic Roundtable, and the Office of Hispanic Affairs from the Governor's Office. And they have confirmed that they will be sending members to attend.
Okay, great. Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Okay. We'll have opportunity for the public to address the board and county manager's update at that point. Only one consent item is the voucher list, which we'll get later this week. And we can ask questions next Tuesday's agenda setting, if any. Looks like a hefty amount on this one. Then we'll go to department items. Central Services, bid award for a family and juvenile court hydronic repairs project.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. You reviewed this item a couple of weeks ago where you authorized issuing the bids. And on September 13, 2021, we received only one bid from Apex Mechanical, Battleground, Washington, for the amount of $356,206.40. To conduct fixes to the heating, water, and sewer system that we have in the juvenile court. The recommendation for you is to award the contract again to Apex Roofing LLC of Battleground for a total contract amount of $356,206.40, and authorize the county manager with an additional 10% of unexpected variations of the contract.
Commissioner Mejia, any questions on this project?
No, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, could you clarify its roof and septic?
No,
Is that
that's
what I-
remember it was a leak on the heating water system at the FJC.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, they need to take a lot of the stuff out. And that is what, the company name is Apex Roofing LLC, but they're doing the heating elements of that.
Oh, okay. Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Okey-doke. Very good. Then let's look at item 4B, request for qualifications and quotes for janitorial services.
Our janitorial services contract is due to expire December 31st, 2021. This previous contract was issued going through the Department of Enterprise Services at this state master contract, which we at that point we secured several bids within this the master contract. So considering that this contract is going to be expiring at the end of the year, for your considerations to authorize Central Services to request qualifications and quotes for janitorial services under the Department of Enterprise Services master contract. And at that point, depending on their requests and the qualifications, staff will bring back a proposal for you to consider issuing a new janitorial services for the county. Robin?
Nothing to add at this time.
Commissioner Mejia?
Yes, so janitorial services. Has a survey been sent out to offices and departments to kind of see, is the level of service that they're currently receiving, is that kind of like, what their needs are, or is there, I know there's always kind of some miscommunication, and so I'm just wondering and trying to make sure that offices and departments know that this is going on and that, they have their needs met.
So we have not done anything like that. We certainly could do that. We have on our the intranet, there is a complete listing of all of the services that our janitorial staff provide and the level, the frequency, and we monitor to that. Jason, could you say if we've gotten any complaints regarding our janitorial recently?
We have not received any complaints within the last, I'd say, 4 to 6 weeks. It kind of cycles up and down. I try to stay on top of it, but they're having issues with retaining employees, much like the county. So we have had a few issues along the way.
Right. But, in general, people are able to see the services that are offered and It's been quite some time since we heard complaints about, other than when we don't have staff available. Yeah. But we could certainly send a survey out if you'd like us to do that.
There's no complaints, or there hasn't been any complaints in 4 to 6 weeks. I don't want to ruffle up the feathers. So I was just wondering, just because I know that's sometimes an issue of contention with some offices and departments.
Right.
And that is if I may, that is a good point. And there's always going to be opportunities, really. And I have to really praise the current janitorial services as we have gone through this enhanced cleaning on the pandemic. So, and I think that has been evident to county employees who have seen, and all of us have seen, staff from coming around and just cleaning the high touch areas, doorknobs and so on and so forth. So moving into the new contract, I believe there is an opportunity to look back and see the services that we provided, and there is any opportunities to enhance the contract for the next few years. That's always part of the process that we go through. If we receive complaints, there is systematic on the complaints, we can certainly address that in the new contract. And this particular request is, the contract is lapsing at the end of this year. And we just want to make sure that we are preparing ourselves for the new contract and go through the formal request for proposals process using the DES master contract, just to make sure that we do the due diligence to get the best possible vendor to provide the services in the upcoming year. And at some point, we'll bring those contracts back, of course, to the board to approve those services. And we'll, at that point, perhaps we'll give you with additional information related to what elements we can add to the contract for the future.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes, does this cover the outside grounds as well, and maybe emptying garbage cans, picking up litter, that type of thing?
No,
or is that separate?
That is a separate, our grounds maintenance is a separate contract.
Okay, thank you.
Robin, I think this question is probably for you. There, a number of years ago, there was some controversy over this contract. Was it that, just to clarify my recollection, was it that this used to be provided in-house and then it was taken to an outside contract, or was it because the contractor was a union shop and we went to a non-union? Can you remind me of what that change was and what the issue was?
Yes, Commissioner, the issue was that the janitors had been county employees. And at a time when the county needed to save money, the Board of County Commissioners chose to contract out that service rather than have county employees. And over the course of the years, I have, not handy, but I can certainly get the more precise numbers, but we've saved millions of dollars over the years by contracting out.
And is our current contractor a union employer?
No, I do not believe so.
And I'm just curious, is that something that the board can put into a RFP for requests, or?
We certainly could specify that we would give additional consideration to a service that was union. The process that we're using right now to find a janitorial contract, we are going to use the master contract under the Washington State Department of Enterprise Services. They have pre-screened, if you will, janitorial services in the state of Washington. And there is a short list of services that provide the level and type and volume of service that the county needs. So this RFP is going to be extended to those pre-qualified contractors. I don't know if any of them are union shops, but we can certainly check that.
Okay, maybe, and do you know how many are on this, as you say, short list?
Jason, was it 7 or 8?
There is 6 on this list. I can't confirm if they are union. I can confirm though that 3 of them are minority-owned small business.
And okay, well, just remind me again what the value is to us of using this short list from the state that's pre-screened or whatever versus doing it the way we might do something else where we weren't using that type of process.
So the value of this list is that these services, all of these bidders, we will know are capable of providing the service to the county. They have the capacity, they have the knowledge, they have the staffing levels, they're proven companies, and they've been pre-screened by the state who can vouch for the expertise of these services. So that makes the selection process for the county much easier and shorter time, much more efficient to use this. It's still a RFP process, we'll still accept bids, but we know that the people who bid are qualified.
Okay, so we're allowed to use that screening list without any strings attached in terms of what other elements we might want to include in our RFP. It's not like the state says if you use this, you've got to do X, Y, and Z or do it our way. Sounds like we have some flexibility there.
There is some flexibility in this contract process. There are different types of master contracts with the state, but this particular one allows us to put our requirements into the contract.
Okay, well, it sounds like any other questions from the board? And we can revisit this next Tuesday morning when I'd be curious about the issue about the union labor issue, and maybe something for the board to think about maybe in the next week, and can revisit that next Tuesday.
We will check on the status of these vendors.
Anything else, Ramiro?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's look at Cped 5A, professional services contract for Alliance for Healthy South Sound Coordination.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Thurston County serves as the fiscal agent for Alliance for Healthy South Sound, and which is recognized by the Puget Sound Partnership Leadership Council as a local integrating organization for Puget Sound, and given the responsibility to coordinate development of the local Puget Sound recovery actions in the Puget Sound Action Agenda. This particular item we need to secure the services of our contractor, in this case it's Ross Strategies, for $125,000. And again, this is a pass-through money, which the money comes from the United States Environmental Protection Agency. And it's really allocated to the Alliance of Healthy South Sound. And since they are a private organization, they cannot be recipients of federal grants, and the county is the fiscal agent as to how we can facilitate this particular contract. And this is for the period of October 1st. And the cost is for $125,000. And I believe Andrew DeFold is here from Cped. If you have any additional questions related to this item.
Questions for Andy from the board? Commissioner Mejia.
No questions.
Commissioner Edwards.
I guess, what does the contract get us? For the citizens of Thurston County, how do we benefit?
So
So the contract, the purpose of the contract is to enable another year of financial support from the Puget Sound Partnership to coordinate the activities of the Alliance for Healthy South Sound. So that's the local organization that's advancing salmon recovery activities, and all these things feed up to the Puget Sound Action Agenda, which is the wholesale list of activities that are going on to promote salmon recovery.
Or might they help us get money for culvert replacement or that? I'm just trying to think of actually what I can look at that they accomplish, that they do.
Sure. Yeah. And so there's a lot of it's a lot of project coordination. The local integrating organization, which is the Alliance for Healthy South Sound, they've got all the local expertise. So it brings together, county elected officials, tribes, staff from state agencies that are knowledgeable about salmon recovery opportunities, and all these things feed up into the action agenda. So there are some projects that can be funded out of this work. It's a lot of coordination that happens, bringing all the minds together and supporting, regional recovery goals. But there are some projects that can be funded through this work. I would be happy to go back and look at some of the previous years of contracts and bring forward next week some specific actions. But I think you're probably thinking in the right realm there. Things like culvert replacements, certainly.
I guess I'd defer to the chair. He's on the Salmon Recovery Council.
Yep, I'm also on this board for this LIO as well. So I do know that Raw Strategic was selected by the executive committee. I don't recall the dollar amount. I'd have to parse through my notes, but I'll trust Andy that that's the right amount. And it's, they, as he said, the elected officials get together and kind of give direction, but then Raw Strategic's like carrying out a lot of what they call it capacity work, which is kind of a piece of what this funding is about. And then there is a small amount of money that we direct toward super local projects. We've done the Shore Friendly program. We've done, and I don't know, that may be a separate stream from this, but it's all kind of piece of what this organization works on. We've also done some stuff that's akin to what Conservation Futures is doing in terms of looking at pieces of property. The Sequox Island Tribe are very involved. We've got, it's across this whole South Sound. So we've got representatives from Nisqually, Squaxin Island, Mason County, even Pierce County is in part of our group. So Raw Strategic has been doing the work for the last a number of years, and we all unanimously agreed to continue with Raw Strategic to do that piece of what the group does, that administrative and capacity piece.
I'm always looking for resources. Like we've got that issue over at Black Lake where we've got 3 intermittent streams or something, I think, that have been identified as a problem. But I guess Black Lake doesn't go into the Puget Sound, it goes out to the ocean, so maybe that doesn't apply or something. Is it just water quality issues maybe that directly affect the Puget Sound?
So it's all types of actions that will promote water quality or habitat protection. All those types of things could potentially be relevant here. There are a number of recovery goals that are listed in that action agenda that the legislature actually handed down. So we could certainly provide you some information about the specific types of actions that are recognized and the goals that are that the program is trying to promote. I just don't have that right at my hand here, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm going to defer to the chair on this. So.
Okay, well maybe we'll keep this here, Andy. Maybe next Tuesday you could show us a few examples of what the group's done in the last 3 or 4 years. Give Edwards a better sense of it.
Sure, and it won't be me next week, but certainly I believe Jennifer Davis will be here, and I will make sure she is prepared for that, or ask her to be prepared for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's look at where are we here? 5. That was 5A. Okay, we're at 6A, Public Health and Social Services, Pierce County South Sound Shellfish Recovery Agreement. I see Art Stories here from Public Health.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. Back in 2018, we entered into a subrecipient agreement with Pierce County Planning and Public Works, and which the total cost of that amount, I believe, was $333,465, with where Pierce County contributes to for us to conduct pollution identification and correction work in Thurston County's shellfish protection districts. This amendment before you is to extend this agreement to September 30, 2022. This agreement provides for additional time to continue working with community members to address water pollution problems associated with Dobbs Creek, including evaluation of the camping club, wastewater treatment alternatives, implementary system design, and assistance with required permits. And I believe this amendment is to extend the time for us to continue to work on this and spend the money that we have with Pierce County. Art?
Good morning. Yeah, Ramiro captured it correctly. This is basically extending the grant agreement that we have with Tacoma Pierce or with Pierce County. It's the National Estuary Program funding, and in this particular case, we coordinated with them, and so they're the prime contractor, and we're a subrecipient. We also have funding from the same organization that we're the prime contractor, but in this case, it's focusing on the Henderson Inlet, Dobbs Creek work that we've talked about before. And this gives us additional time to work with that community to be able to address the wastewater treatment problems that they've got there, and also work with the conservation district to address other pollution sources related to land management practices. And so this is a really neat funding opportunity. It's what Commissioner Edwards has referred to at times as Denny Heck money. So it's the money that comes through EPA and the National Estuary Program for Puget Sound protection. It's neat in that there's no match requirement. It's 100% funding. And so we'd certainly like to be able to extend this agreement.
Commissioner Mejia?
No questions.
Commissioner Edwards?
Oh, I like that Denny Heck money. That's a good deal, Art. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Art.
Heard that for a while.
Let's look at item 6B, Interagency Agreement for Pollution Prevention Assistance.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. The Department of Ecology provide resources to public health and social services to provide clinical assistance and education outreach to local businesses to prevent pollution of waters of the state as part of the Pollution Prevention Assistance Program. In this particular item is for you to consider approving an agreement with the Washington State Department of Ecology for $305,000 in the term of July 1st, 2021 through June 30, 2023 to deliver the actions as I just described. And Art is again here to provide additional perspective on this item.
Yeah, thank you again, Ramiro. This is again, you've again described the project well. This is something we've been doing this in one form or another for many, many years. There's been different funding sources. They've changed the name, but again, this gives us an opportunity to work with businesses to identify whether they have problems or concerns regarding the management of hazardous materials or the disposal of hazardous waste. And it allows us to, again, keep things from being causing pollution problems in the first place. So again, try to work upstream by helping them manage materials properly. We're fortunate in that this year we're receiving additional funding or more than we received in the past. It's for 2 years. Again, it's 100% funding, and it's something we've been successful at. We've got 2 folks who would be working on this. And so one thing that you'll see if you read through this is that we can initiate the work once we receive authorization, but we will need to add staff, and we've put in a request as part of the budget process to add staffing to allow us to fully utilize these funds. And so that's something that will be coming as part of the budget process.
Commissioner Mejia?
No questions.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Okay. Then let's look at item 6C, Solid Waste Financial Assistance Agreement.
Yeah, this is another grant that we received from the Washington State Department of Ecology. And this particular grant is to support our solid waste program, permitting inspection and solid waste enforcement activities. As you know, solid waste management is a core of public health and environmental health programs, and it is required by law under Article 5 of the Thurston County Sanitary Code. This financial grant is for $315,120, and the term of this contract is from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2023. And Art, again, is here to provide additional perspective.
Well, thank you. Again, this is again to support our solid waste enforcement and permitting activities. It's funding from Ecology called the Local Solid Waste Financial Assistance Program, and it's actually, in the years past, it's been funded by the Model Toxic Control Account and things. But we've been very fortunate this year in that the legislature has increased funding for these programs, and so if you were to look at the amount of funding we've received over the past several years, it's been much less than this. And so this is a good news in that it allows us to more fully, the state is actually going to provide a greater percentage of the funding for our programs. In the past, we've had to rely quite a bit on tipping fees to pay for solid waste enforcement. In this case, we will be using the tipping fees to provide the 25% match, but that was anticipated in our budget process. So it actually ends up saving the county money because we're getting, again, 75% of this paid with state funding. And so again, this is a good opportunity, and it's something actually, I think with the folks who've worked on behalf of the county to support our legislative agendas, they've been working on this, and so this is a success story as far as actually having more funding for this program, both for us and for Public Works, to deal with solid waste issues. So this is the end result of it is this grant application and the funding that's being provided.
Commissioner Mejia?
No questions.
Commissioner Edwards?
Is there some kind of an acronym that goes with that? That's a heck of a contract number.
Yeah, it's Local Solid Waste Financial Assistance, but it's a really long one. We tried to get that down, but I'm sorry it's so long. the action.
Okay, thank you.
Art, so the money that was local and now is more coming from the state, that's from the tipping fees, basically, that there'll be more.
So what a lot of our programs are funded with tipping fees, or we have an interagency agreement with Public Works. And so what this allows us is to basically save some of that tipping fee revenue, and that means the county can use it for something else. And so it's if we didn't have this grant and this amount, then we'd be using more tipping fees.
Okay, very good. Those are a lot of good items there from public health, money coming in from grants. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Art.
Here's Tom.
Yeah. Pass the public health baton to Tom for item 6D, request for proposals for hotel vouchers and rapid rehousing programs.
Thank you, commissioners. We'll continue to receive significant amount of money from the Department of Commerce. In this particular case, is for $1,633,401 from the newly state document recording fees that just passed the legislation. So I think it's the 1277. That's the bill, Tom.
That's correct. Yes.
And you had the board had a discussion related to this new source of revenue. There is a larger allocation that might be coming to the county later on related to this particular new recording fees. But the Department of Commerce has released a small amount to Thurston County again for $1,633,401. To be specific, to pay for leasing of hotel and motel rooms and to help our community in need right now. So this particular request is for you to consider approval to issuance of a request for proposal to receive bids related to delivering the vouchers to hotel and motel for rental assistance here in the county. Tom?
Yeah, so thanks for that summary. And just to add a little more context, so this is money we have to apply to the Department of Commerce for. We have till the end of the year. And so we're in a fairly tight turnaround time to issue this request for proposals, get in proposals so we can submit an application to the Department of Commerce identifying how we intend to use these funds in order to receive this funding. Also say that this is an item will be on the Regional Housing Council agenda on Wednesday of this week. So they will also weigh in on this. But happy to answer any other questions.
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
The county manager in his description, I must have missed something. You said small amount, something about a small amount?
Well, as you may recall, the 1277, that was the new bill. They added, I believe, additional recording fees that are specifically addressing housing and homeless needs in across the state. So there's a significant amount of money sitting with the state related to this recording fees. So the Department of Commerce has released a small amount of that larger revenue.
To us?
As Tom clarified, it is through an application process where the county could access $1,633,401 to provide hotel and motel vouchers. That is the small amount released from the 1277. Additional allocation to the county may be coming later on. At this point, we don't know what it is, how much it is, but I believe when Tom reported on this particular new document recording fees, it was on the order of $4 million the county could receive for additional services. That's the small amount that I was describing. It's releasing a small amount of the larger pot.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Commissioner Mejia?
No, sir.
No. Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Item 7, County Manager was a board reports and County Manager reviewing schedule. We have 2 public hearings then following. This is for next Tuesday, 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as we're done with the board meeting. We have a Cped item regarding the Tomwater joint plan.
Yeah, this is, you will be receiving public testimony related to the proposed joint plan with the city of Tomwater. And at this point, the only item for your consideration will be to close the public hearing, and we'll schedule a follow-up briefing depending on the public testimony we'll be receiving next Tuesday. The next public hearing soon after that one is Public Works. And you will be receiving public testimony related to the proposed 6-year transportation improvement program from 2022 to 2027. And also on this case, we will be recommending one action, please to close the public hearing, and further action will be coming later in the year in association with the overall county budget.
Okay, I see both Leah Davis and Scott Lindblom here. If there's any questions, Commissioner Mejia. Either one.
No, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Okay, I don't think I do either. Thank you, guys. Okay, that would close out the proposed agenda for Tuesday, September 28th. And let's go to Proclamations and Awards.
Good morning, Amy Davis, clerk of the board. The 2 proclamations for next week are included in your packet, and grammatical revisions will be made prior to next week. And a draft of the requested proclamation for the 130th anniversary of the Elks Lodge is included. This is what they actually sent over, so it would be narrowed down quite a bit and cleaned up to be consistent with information we include in other proclamations. But this does give you an idea of the information they are requesting. So this is here for your review. We can circle back next week after you have a chance to take a look and see if you would like to present a proclamation for them.
Okay, put that on my list of reading items. Any questions from the board on the proclamations?
I thought it was wasn't gonna be called a proclamation, but we're gonna do something kind of in the middle, like a hybrid.
That was my idea.
Recognition. Sure.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Same thing, yeah.
I don't think the board resolved of finalizing the conversation. Because the conversation was, although there is a well-worth achievement, but I think Commissioner was stating, then many others will come with many proclamations related to a worthwhile acknowledgement. Whether it is you take the time during a council meeting just to acknowledge as opposed to a formal proclamation, that's probably some of the options that it was presented to you. So maybe you can read this particular information and we'll revisit next week as to how you would like to approach this particular request suggestion.
That sounds good to me. I'd like to take a look and then we get a sense of whether we want to. We've done it before. Like I say, I know we did a Homes First 30th anniversary. I know Olympia did Rotary 100. It's not unprecedented, but there is that question of the appropriate vehicle for the recognition of a good community group. So maybe we can take that up next Tuesday.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from the board regarding proclamations and awards at this time? Let's look at advisory boards and commissions.
So the application provided last week from Aaron Quintogo for the Housing Authority is included in your packet, along with an email from Craig Chance, Executive Director of the Housing Authority. And so to provide a short synopsis, Commissioner Maureen McLemore expressed her intentions to resign or retire, but stated she'd be willing to serve until a new commissioner has been appointed. So Craig touches on the importance to them of having a professional auditor on the board and their search within reviewing staff of local firms, organizations, and online networking sites like LinkedIn. One of the candidates they found through that process was actually planning to move out of state at the time, and that individual referred them to Aaron, a professional auditor who represents a few underrepresented populations, such as the BIPOC community and a multi-generational military family, one of which Aaron was the home front parent while spouse was deployed. So I'm happy to deliver any directive to Craig. We can certainly advertise this vacancy further with website postings, published notice, etc. if you'd like. We can circle back next week as well if you'd like more time to review the information Craig sent.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to review this email, and I will, but was the answer then that this wasn't advertised?
It was not advertised. They had more of like an internal recruitment process, but it was not advertised.
Commissioner Mejia.
No, yeah, so it kind of, I'm slowly reading through it and it sounds like they did an internal recruitment based on what their needs were in terms of kind of like what they needed on the board. It seems like I'm speaking, I'm talking myself through it. I'm sorry. No questions.
Okay, I can skip. Well, there's nobody to ask this question to because so I'm just going to ask it into the ether and if anyone wants to comment, but it's just, I find that I haven't read the communication, so maybe it'll be clear, but just based on what you said, Amy, it seems odd to me that a board sets policy direction. You don't actually try to get the work that you need to do filled with skilled positions on a board. You hire staff or you contract with services. I mean, we don't, as county commissioners, go, oh, well, we better recruit a county commissioner that knows something about public health because we don't have that. I mean, that's just not how it works. So it's just odd to me that you'd be saying, well, we need somebody to audit stuff. So we're going to fill one of these 5 board seats with an auditor. I just don't really understand. So I'm not comfortable having the position filled without it having been advertised and made known to the public. But that's just where I'm at. Commissioner Edwards?
I guess I would come from the position that aren't all of our boards and commissions kind of out there as requests for interest by citizens. You may apply to any of these. So isn't it always out there, even though there wasn't a specific push on this particular board or commission? Is that kind of the way it works?
Yes, individuals are able to send in their applications at any time to apply, whether there be a vacancy or not.
So I don't know that we make a push per se for each individual board or commission. I know we as commissioners oftentimes go out and try to fill things that need to be filled. Other than that, it seems like we fill it from those that have requested to be on there. So I guess I don't have the same concerns that the chair does on this particular issue, because I really think that those professionals in this particular area know what they need, and I hate to micromanage that. There's been opportunity that people could have put in and apparently did not. So I'm going to go along with the requests by these individuals that are recommending this person. That's kind of what I'm at. I do think I just ended that with saying I think there was opportunity for others to put in, and I would encourage anybody to put in for any of the boards and commissions that we have listed that we utilize volunteers for.
Okay, so sounds like Commissioner Edwards would like this to move forward. I'm not there yet. Commissioner Mejia, I guess it's your call.
I need to finish reading the letter that he sent with the explanation. So,
Okay, so maybe based on the new information, we'll revisit this next Tuesday.
We'll read this letter next Tuesday.
And if a majority of the board, or if all of the board wants to put it on, we often put these on the very next afternoon, so it doesn't have to be delayed once the board is comfortable with the appointment.
That's correct.
Sure. Thank you.
We'll have that for the reading pile. Next is PIO check-in.
Good morning, Commissioners. County Manager, Assistant County Manager, Brian Dominique, Public Information Officer for the Board. I just have a few quick updates. Last night, Commissioner Minzer hosted a panel discussion on the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. That's available on our YouTube channel now, so anyone can go and watch it there. The conversation, I thought, went really well, so hopefully people take the opportunity to review that. And I'm also working with Commissioner Mejia's office right now on a new Coffee with Commissioner episode. We're looking at doing one on property taxes, but we have to check in with the treasurer and see how that works out. But I'm working through that now. And then we're approaching the fourth quarter of the year, so we're going to start our communications planning here in the next few weeks for 2022 and 2023. So more to follow on that. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Brian?
no, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Good topic, Commissioner. It's property taxes. I like it.
I saw a lot of questions in regards to the notices that went out in regards to assessed values. I was actually going to do it on Arpa, and I switched topics midway on Brian, and I was like, well, it seems like there's a lot of questions and interest on this, so let's do something like
I
this.
can't recall seeing a county piece in recent years on it, so that's, I think, timely, or it's a good one to do. County manager, briefing, public hearings, decisions pending.
Yes, attached in your packet is a letter for you to consider supporting the Squashing Island Tribe application to take 2 properties located within the city of Tomwater to put them to trust. This item was brought up by Commissioner Minzer last week. Here's the actual letter attached in your packet. And you also requested of me to give a depiction of what the properties are. So attached in the behind it. I'm sorry, you find it?
No, I haven't found it yet. That doesn't mean it isn't here.
I'm still looking for it too.
Okay.
Okay.
Give you a second.
I've got it. I've got it. At the very back in my packet.
Okay, that's the very back. Here. Maybe I just get it.
You should. But I'll give you mine.
Oh.
Okay. So if that's the actual letter for your consideration, in the back side, second page, is the 2 properties in question of the request. That is at the intersection of Highway 99 and Tomwater Boulevard, and it's just bordering the Olympia Airport. And also you asked me to reach out to the city of Tomwater. I did. To see if they have any comments related to this particular request. And as of yet, I have not received feedback from the city of Tomwater related to that. So that's the 2 pieces of information that you requested of me. And at this point, whether you'd like to proceed with this or not, I'll give you time to review this letter. It's pretty straightforward. And see where the board would like to go.
I mean, I would support it conditioned on not receiving, like, I would say, I'd like to hear back from Tomwater.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be to let the give the county manager a thumbs up pending a non-opposition received from Tomwater.
I would rather see a support from Tomwater rather than than a neutral position, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, we can make that
preference.
Is there a timeline?
I think it's they would like to proceed with this particular application as soon as they're feasible. I don't think this letter of support is hinging on their, on their proposal, but certainly it will be helpful for them to support their case. If you like, as Commissioner stated, give me the authority depending when I follow up with the city administrator today to see if he has any comments. If it's support, then I will add your electronic signatures and move forward as soon as feasible. If there is any type of comments or perhaps opposition to this, I will bring this back next Tuesday.
Do we know, and I can't remember if I asked this last week, do we know the use of this property, what the intended use is going to be?
Those 2 properties, and this is just my observation, those are commercial.
But we don't know. I mean, it might have a fireworks stand or something. I mean, we don't know, right? That just, I don't know, a gas station? I don't know.
It's not a gas station.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, might we be advocating for something? I don't know I'd like to advocate just without knowing. I wish I knew more about that. I'm a little gun shy. No reflection on the tribe. I mean, we're being asked to endorse something, but there's nothing on the sheet to endorse, so. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm just cautious, I guess.
Well, the endorsement
Old fashioned, huh?
The endorsement is to you support their request to put this into trust, and then they will develop
I know, that's just it, but
But at this
we
point,
don't know what's gonna go there. I mean,
yeah, I don't know what their plans are, and I don't think I can get that information for you before then. And again, this is something the tribe has requested from the board, and their process is not hinging on this letter. Just to give you a perspective, they're going to be proceeding with this proposal regardless.
And they may go ahead with it, but I guess I was around when the county was trying to do good things with the water park down in Rochester, and that just didn't turn out very good. I'm not saying they aren't good stewards of the land, good neighbors, they aren't doing good, they're doing a lot for economic development down there, but it ended up in litigation in the court. That's all. I mean, I'm just concerned what the plan is before we endorse it. That's all.
Yeah, so,
before I endorse it.
so I will not be able to give you what their future plans are. I am not going to be able to get that information for you.
I guess I just.
So.
How about if the board's in favor of it, chair of the board can send a letter under his signature. I just hate to sign off on something that I don't know about. I hope I'm not too cautious, but I guess that's old fashioned.
Okay, well, Commissioner Mejia, anything to add?
I mean, if the city of Tomwater is in support of it, and yeah, I don't see why.
Can we have it come back again next week?
Yeah, it's all within your purview. Yeah. All right, I'll bring this item next week.
Okay, and I'll also reach out to the mayor and see if I can get some clarity. And Ramiro's sounds like an inquiry out to the city administrator. So hopefully we can get a resolution on this within the next week.
Yep.
Okay. Is that the only item under 8 of Ramiro for
yes,
brief?
sir.
Okay, then let's take a break. And I just wanted to update the board. My 12 o'clock meeting I thought was at 12 is actually at 1. So I'm not quite as constrained to stop right at 12. I know we have a couple executive sessions. It's 10:29. Let's take 15 minutes and come back at 10:45 to take up with the first item under Commissioner's items, number 9.1.
Thank you.
Back to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners agenda setting work session for Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. It's 10:45. We're picking back up with commissioner items, which is under number 9 on the morning's agenda. We're starting with number 1, which is JAG Grant -EEOP. I'll pass this to the county manager.
Yeah, thank you. And now that Scott Cushion, our prosecuting attorney, has joined us this morning. Scott, you can hold on. You're here for the executive session, so we still have a couple of items before we can get to that executive session. Thank you. Commissioners, this is just more of for your information. This related to the JAG grant that we received from the federal government. And there's a lot of history with this JAG grant. At some point, the county decided not to pursue the JAG grant maybe 3-4 years ago because some of the restrictions they had at that time. Then this grant became available. And here recently, I was made aware that we needed to meet a requirement to develop an equal employment opportunity plan in order to accept the grant. So unfortunately, we don't have the equal employment opportunity plan here in the county, an EEOP.
What's EEOP?
Equal employment
Okay, that's the
opportunity plan.
Oh, got it.
So as we move forward, and we had a conversation with the Sheriff's office that unfortunately we cannot attest to the fact that we have an EEOP in order for us to accept the grant. So my commitment to the Sheriff's office as well as to the county was to embark and have Nicole Miller to start working on developing this EEOP for the whole county. That when the next JAG grant becomes available, we'll be in the position to accept the grant and meet the requirements of having an EEOP. This is just for your information at this point, Commissioners. I'm not expecting you to make any decision. And I know this has been a source of discussion, at least in the last 3-4 years. This is, again, one of the additional requirements that we need to meet. Unfortunately, this time we don't have an EEOP, so we cannot access this grant. But certainly, my commitment again was to develop this plan in a timely manner when this grant becomes available. Again, in the future, we'll be in the position to accept it.
Questions from the board?
How much is the grant? So how much are we kind of losing?
I think it was a biennium. It was probably close to over 300,000
For both years, yeah.
Both years, yeah.
Well, tell me what we're missing out on, because I thought we were fair to everybody. What are we missing?
Well, we're fair. It's just having an actual approved plan by the legislative authority. That's what it's missing. It's the actual document. We don't have a document. We don't have an equal employment opportunity plan document. And it's very prescriptive as to what elements this plan needs to include. So it's very elaborate as to what this plan is. So it is not that we can probably bring and develop a plan within 2 days. That's not possible, because it requires to have how the hiring practices are across the county, how we go through making sure we do disciplinary actions and everything else. So it's very encompassing, this plan, and we don't have one, but I'm committed to develop one in the upcoming.
There are also data and reporting elements to the plan, so it's fairly extensive.
You mean we just couldn't go get Lacey's and plagiarize it? I mean, it didn't work that way, or what? I mean, can't make it easy?
It doesn't work that way because it's internal to the county related to how we do hiring practices and disciplinary actions, because the city of Lacey could have totally different approach related to their policies. So it may not be.
We're not trying to recreate the wheel. We have gone out and looked at other plans in other counties and cities. So we've already gone down that road, and but even with that, it's not simple to just put one together.
Okay.
So can you just clarify the timing, Ramiro? Like the ship has sailed for the last year's grant, or how fast will we have to get the plan
Yeah,
approved?
I believe this grant becomes available every year. So we still have another 12 months to develop this plan. I am not going to be waiting 12 months to bring this matter before you. Certainly, we're going to start working right away, and there's going to be a lot of work from us as departments to support this plan.
We don't have 12 months. We're too late at this point.
Yeah,
Really,
we're
we've
too
got
late at this
about 9 to 10 months at the most.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's something that comes up in the summer or something that perhaps.
Right.
Yeah.
Late spring, early summer, we've got to be ready to go.
Okay.
So if we don't do it this year, can I ask one more clarifying question?
Yeah, please.
There's maybe just like a chance that we'll lose out on the 150,000, or since it opens every year?
We will lose out on about $175,000 this year. And we will, when it comes open next year, we'll be in a position to be able to apply. Okay.
And just to circle back to what Ramiro started with, the previous issue with this grant was immigration-related restrictions from the federal government, and those have been stripped out, is my understanding.
Yeah, that is correct.
Litigation and court, and so we're not. I just want the public to be clear: we're not dealing with that set of issues with respect to this grant. It's a completely different issue that we're trying to tackle here.
So are we going to be losing over $300,000 within a certain time frame? And I guess what I'm shooting for is why is it that we can't expedite this? I guess I'm curious what the time frame is that we're up against, that we have to have something in place by, I don't know, next week or next month to be eligible to accept this money. The sheriff's office has put something forward on one of these policies, I think, sometime back. I don't know where we're at on that, but why can't we just adopt something like that if it means we can get $300,000?
So the window closed about 2 weeks ago.
So we've already lost out?
After getting a substantial extension to attempt to meet the requirement. But what was put together is insufficient. So we have already lost out this time around. And we're attempting to position ourselves to be ready to take it next year, to be ready.
Okay, so it's not a 2-year loss.
No, it's 1 year loss.
1 year loss.
Yeah. And that is my commitment to the sheriff's office and to the county, really, is to develop a plan. They will be positioning ourselves to receive this grant next spring, summer. This is unfortunately, this JAG grant is ever-changing environment. And this information related to the EVOP at least surfaced to me in the last month or so. So, yeah.
So when we're talking about the sheriff's office, the money they might get, what about the prosecutor's office? Those folks, is this the same money? Because I was involved with the JAG thing when it was put together years ago. So I know some things have changed, but so is the prosecutor's office getting a piece of this as well, or do they get their own if we had it in place?
We need to look into that.
So, because I believe the requirements applies to all recipients. And in this case, the recipient is the county, no specific offices.
No, but I know they did get money in years past.
So we need to take a look and see what the current status is.
And I mean, I guess we can discuss it further, especially if if we're past the deadline, then that's it. I guess there isn't much we can do about it, but that's a lot of money to give up for
I agree.
whatever purpose. I don't know what all the criteria is now on it, but. Okay. More to come, sounds like. Huh?
Yeah, and I just didn't want to, for you to be surprised, perhaps, and that's the reason why, as to why we didn't access the JAG grant this year. It is the EEOP requirements. But again, they just became, as a requirement here in the last month or so.
Okay, more to come.
Let's go to item 2 under heading 9, which is ARPA funds allocations.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. Attached in your packet is this table of the ARPA funds. Are you there? So.
I've got it. Yep. Is it got a kind of a?
And attached to that, yeah, and attached to that table, you're familiar with that. This is something the board approved in a draft 4. Is a table related to the backlog and the court cases in the backlog that we are currently facing. So there's a lot of information on this attached spreadsheet. I'm not asking you to review that. And this is just the background as to why you set aside on page 2 of this table the $8 million from the ARP, from the ARPA funds to address the backlog. Sorry, are you there, Commissioner?
I have not found that yet in my material.
It's got a yellow.
Yeah. And it's not in any of my financial stuff. I was missing that other piece as well earlier today. So,
right there.
Got it? Okay, thank you.
So on page 2 of the allocations, you see on the line item number 3 is the $8.5 million related to addressing the court backlog. And again, the attached spreadsheet behind it is the background as to how we derived to the $8.5 million. So the request for you today is to consider moving $2 million into the approved amount so we can start addressing right away from the prosecutor's office as well as the public defender to start working on the backlog. I'm not suggesting for you to move everything because this $8.5 million is for the next 2-3 years in which we need to address the backlog. But certainly there's a need to start working and addressing the backlog. So my request for you today is to consider moving out of the $8.5 million that is under consideration to the approved column of $2 million out of the $8.5 million. That's request number 1 on this.
Ramiro, is that 8.5 million? Is that a new? I mean, I know it's a proposal, but is that a new number, or has that been there in our last?
No, this number it was included when you adopted this plan on a draft 4 when we submitted to Treasurer. That number has not changed.
Okay, just checking.
This was also part of budget discussions when we were talking about the last amendment to the budget. You got a lot of information about Blake, and at that time we had a little information about court backlog. So the attachment of very small numbers is not new, and it all adds up to about $8.5 million.
That estimate is based on each it's based on. We asked each particular piece of the system to kind of worst case scenario, this is what we're going to need, the resource we're going to need, and then that all adds up to 8.5 million.
That is exactly right. And it includes leased space and staff costs and an extra judge and or a commissioner. So there's a lot rolled into that 8.5 million, and you can see the details on this attachment. But it is the estimate from each office and department.
Yeah, what my request for you today is to consider moving out of the 8.5 million, $2 million into the approved category.
Right.
So we can start working with the offices and departments for them to start working on the backlog. And that is a pressing need at this point.
Right. We really need to refine the numbers too. And as Romero said, that money's got to last the entire time that we need to be working on these, and we've heard that it could take up to 3 years.
Commissioner Edwards, I saw your hand.
Well, probably saw it in frustration.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out, we're gonna have a, I don't know, 10-minute discussion on this and make some $1 million decisions without, I don't, it kind of bugs me that we're always under the gun, it seems like, and I don't know, we get forced into a corner, it seems. Where is that, that's gonna come out of the 8 million, the 8.5, right? You're saying, make a move and make it now, because if we don't make it now, we can't start with the process, is that what I'm hearing?
So the prosecutor, public defense, and the courts are all kind of waiting for approval from the board to take action to get additional resources to devote to clearing the backlog. It's the press of the number of cases and the numbers keep growing because they don't have resources. We're not asking you to approve the full 8 million because in my opinion, I think we need to, this 8.5 was an initial rough number. We need to refine that, and Romero has been, I know, talking to the prosecutor's office about, what precisely would we do in the short term, but we've got to start working on this backlog because it's just getting worse.
Okay, let me ask one other thing about this. So earlier in the month, we talked about possibly being required to pay, I know there's an acronym for it, LFO, legal financial obligations or something.
Blake.
Yeah, that's
Out of
outside of this.
Yeah, I know it's outside of this, but we're gonna have to pay that out of our general fund because we don't have enough money coming in to pay it. And if we start on this decrease on the backlog because of Blake, do we expedite the process of causing a future drain on our current expense budget? That's kind of where I'm coming from.
So this backlog is not due to Blake. This backlog has to specifically be due to COVID, or it's not eligible for this money. So
Okay.
this is the
So
backlog
this is
due to
strictly COVID.
We also have in the works Blake. That's a second thing, but let's talk about that for a moment. We know we're getting some money from the state of Washington to cover Blake. The association is pursuing additional money to cover Blake. And we are currently reviewing a contract from the administrator of the courts to address at least a portion of the LFO costs. And with any luck, we'll have that contract before the board in short order. But we're trying to figure out if we can meet the data requirements of that. So Blake is bubbling along, if you will. It's cooking. But at the parallel track, we've got a COVID backlog in the courts that needs to be addressed that we will pay for with COVID money.
Okay, you said association. You made a comment. What association?
Well, the Washington State Association of Counties is WASAC is the one who are pursuing the Blake. This is a parallel, the Blake track. And in fact, the next Tuesday morning, I'm scheduling an executive session with you and our attorneys because there's a couple litigation paths the association is tracking, and you need to be informed. I've already provided you with brief information related to this class action litigation is brewing. There is a hearing on this Friday, but that's what I'm bringing the Blake issue in executive session next Tuesday morning. But as Robin has stated, the $8.5 million that you tentatively approve as a draft is purely related to the backlog related to COVID, because we couldn't conduct any trial cases. We couldn't, the courts were closed and everything was just shut down, that the backlog was created. And in order to continue to start addressing the backlog issue, my request is for you to move into the approved category $2 million, so we can start working with the office and department to start chipping away at this issue.
And we've already tentatively made this approval anyway, right?
Yeah, this is.
But now we're going into the action plan or something? Is that kind of what's happening here?
Yeah, because this spreadsheet is not new.
Yeah.
We presented to you, that's the plan of the ARP funds.
Right.
You approved to submit to Treasury a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, I would just clarify that the category under consideration means under consideration. We approved this and we didn't make these decisions.
Approve the plan, yeah.
Because I'm not sold on 8.5 million, and what's attractive to me about this is we can see how far the 2 million really goes.
Right.
And how far we get, then we'll have a better idea of whether or not that amount of money is really needed. But I think 2 million is, we can pretty much see from the spreadsheet that's going to be well needed.
And not enough.
Yeah, not enough, but how much not enough is the big question. Commissioner Mejia?
I'm not in support of it. I'll just say that. I feel like there's just too many balls up in the air, and at this time it's yeah, I've heard too many things. So at this time I'm not in support of it.
Okay, well, let's, I would like to hear more from the county manager on the tentative approval that we gave to go where, I guess.
So
I'm kind of tending to agree with Commissioner Mejia, because it seems like this stuff comes on fast and furious and bam, we need it right now. And oh, by the way, we missed 300,000 over here for whatever reason. I'm not saying anybody's guilty of anything. It's just fluctuates so doggone fast. And I understand the prosecutor and defense get some of that money or something, but
Get some of which money?
that JAG money. So I'm just, I'm going all the way back to, when it's money, it's money. I don't know where it all comes from. And
Unfortunately, in government, money has its own strings and colors.
Okay,
It's not
well.
just money.
So related to this, this spreadsheet.
Yes.
And let me take you back even in March, even a little bit earlier, when we received the word, the American Rescue Plan is going to be given an allocation to local governments. As you may recall, we brought this issue to you, and it was going to be in 2 installments. That's going to be $28 million in 2021, and a year later, in 2022, we'll receive the additional $28 million for a total of $56 million.
Okay, got it.
So I provided to you some suggestions on the initial $28 million, which included support for Thurston Strong, and you approved that, and that is in the approved category column in here. You also approved supporting United Way. With the Thurston Strong, there's a lot of categories within that you considered. But also there was a lot of other elements that we needed to bring back to you, because we needed to submit a draft report to the Department of Treasury as to how we are planning to spend the money, the $56 million. So we presented to you this spreadsheet, and that's how we allocated this under consideration and approved. And the approved category is pretty much only included all the Thurston Strong and United Way decisions that you made. And the other consideration is the rest, which includes the affordable housing. You have 9 million. We have it has the sewer and water projects. It has the backlog, as we just discussed. All that includes in the under consideration category. And this is what we asked the board to approve in a draft form. There's no, you have a lot of latitude within all this money, obviously. And that's what it was submitted to Treasury 2 weeks ago. And not just happy to report, really last week when we had a conference with the county administrators, their report that we submitted to the Treasury is very robust and well laid out. So as we move along, I'm committed to bring to you, for you to consider, start moving into the approved category and some of the items that you have tentatively approved and using the ARP funds. And this is the request today. There is an issue for us to start addressing the backlog. I was committed to bring this item for your consideration to move a portion of the allocation of 8.5 million to start working on that. And that's the background related to the ARP funds.
I guess I have a question for Commissioner Mejia. Are you concerned that the courts may not need $2 million, or is it about a timing issue, or what is? I didn't quite understand the nature of your.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of everything. It's a timing issue. I'm just seeing so many requests for so many new staff, and I understand that the need is there, but yet I'm not seeing, we look at how many cases are going to trial and attorneys are dismissing the cases the day of. And, it's Thurston County is a repeat offender of that. And so at this time, I really don't think the timing is right, especially with the budget requests coming up. I just don't feel like we're there. So that's why I'm not really, at this time, I'm not in support of it.
Okay. Commissioner Edwards?
Well, my concern is kind of what I brought up earlier this morning, that we get new information and are expected to be on top of it almost immediately. We only get a chance to talk about it for 10 minutes, then we're on to another topic. And I'm kind of inclined to defer to Commissioner Mejia on this particular topic because she's got some real background behind the scenes in the courts. So it's not that I don't want to get things going. I do want to get things going. But I feel we're oftentimes pushed into it. I mean, I brought that up about the 3,000 building today. It's not going to change me, but we're expected to make decisions, major decisions, without what I feel is adequate discussion or debate, on the topics. Oftentimes. Sometimes we've been talking about it for months. But I'm more inclined to, anytime I can get more information as I'm making a decision, whether that's about, the tribal thing. I just don't get that we're always put in a box. You need to come up with, okay, got to do this now. And I ask a question, well, we don't know the answer to that question. And I feel this kind of fits in that category of timing. That's kind of what I'm up against. I don't know what they need, but I'm kind of inclined to go along with Commissioner Mejia on this whole thing. But now what's the answer? How do we address it if we do that? Heck, I'll work weekends. I don't care. If you schedule time, I'll come in. I want to get it right.
So the question is, what additional information do you need? I provided to you the plan to address the backlog. So what additional information do you need? And help me to bring that information for you to make an informed decision, because with all due respect, there is a need. There is over 1,000 cases that are waiting to be processed, and they need additional resources to do so. So if there is additional information that you need to go through this recommendation, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to bring that to your attention.
Don't be like, my mind is, at this time, I'm just not, for me, it's a no until after we're done with the budget. So that's where I'm at. I don't know if Commissioner Menser or Edwards need more information. At this time, I'm just.
When you say done with the budget, I guess I'm curious what that means.
So what I assume is the budget is done, completed and approved in December of 2021, this year. Are you suggesting to wait making any decisions related to the backlog until that time?
I mean, first of all, I would like to see like the request from, each office and departments that we're going to be reviewing in October, sorry, wrong month. I would like to, at least go through the month of October first before, making any other budgetary decisions. There's $13 million worth of requests that are coming up. And so I just, at this time, I'm just.
So this money is already in our budget. It's recovery fund money.
I understand that, yeah.
Okay.
I understand that, but again, it's adding more staff, and so at this time but I'm not sure if Commissioner Edwards or Menser.
If I may, the proposals in here they have in this table are not full-time. There's a period of time in which they need the staff to address the backlog. There is not a long-term staff that will be associated with this particular proposal.
We would all have end dates.
All end dates.
Okay, let me just ask this. Okay, we've got a recommendation from yourself that says put $2 million forward now out of the 8.5. What would that $2 million do? What would come of that? How would that be expended?
So been working with the prosecutor, he provided me a perspective that he would like to hire at least 3 or 4 right away. Patrick O'Connor is also looking into hiring additional staff to deal with the backlog. We need to find space for those. We're looking at temporary leasing in some of the nearby offices here. And also the courts need to also ramp up in order to process those cases. So I cannot tell you that $2 million is gonna be addressing 100 cases, 200 cases. There is a lot of over 1,000 cases in the backlog that we need to start addressing. And this is just my suggestion to start working on chipping away the backlog. With the understanding we need to come back to the board, whether the remainder, 6.5, if you agree with this proposal, as to what else the board can support that when we know the frequency as to how those cases are being processed.
And we're under some time restraint as far as the expenditure, is that right? I mean, at some point, what do we have? Do we have 2 years, 4 years?
The end of 2024.
So we do have some time to wait.
I'm just honoring the sense of urgency the prosecutor has brought this to me, because they feel the sense of urgency. They need to start addressing the backlog cases.
And currently they are not? Is that what I'm hearing? They're not doing anything on this?
No, they don't have the resources, because right now, I believe they're doing the current cases that come into the pipeline.
So we could certainly invite the prosecutor, the public defense, and others in the system to talk to you about their need.
I think that's, from what I'm hearing, that's what we need to have happen. I mean, I want to be respectful to my seatmates, and there may just not be support at this time, but Commissioner Edwards as asking questions that I think are good questions, and the key players in the system need to answer them in terms of how they intend to deploy the resources most efficiently to get the most. I believe it's an 1,800 case backlog. And again, I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. I mean, I can look at this spreadsheet plan and it's got, and Robin, you said something about space, and so did Ramiro, but I know public defense doesn't have space to put anyone anywhere at this point. So if we're adding 2 lawyers there, we're going to need space.
That's exactly right. We've already begun looking to see what's available here on the Hill. I'd asked about the second floor of Chandler Court. It's not available to us.
I understand there's over 50,000 feet of office space over here. I don't know if that comes in one lump sum and you have to take it all.
So half of it is already taken and committed.
By us?
So, nope,
No, by
not by
somebody
us.
else. Okay.
Yep. I've started looking at what's available nearby for.
I guess,
attorney
getting into the 3,000 building, that's not going to be available for a year or so anyway, no matter what we do, it doesn't sound like.
6 months.
Well, but it's not going to fix this immediate problem.
No, it wouldn't.
So,
It would not fix this problem, which is why we're looking at potential leases that we would pay for out of this money.
I do think Commissioner Mentzer's kind of I think that's right. We probably do need a little better sense of what those entities that are about to receive some of this are going to do with it as we move forward. So
Ramiro, can we set up a briefing with the prosecutor and public defense and maybe Superior Court judge? Maybe those 3 would be the most.
Sounds good.
District Court is also impacted by the backlog.
Yeah. Well, however many,
Yeah.
more is fine for me. We'll invite them, and if we can get like 2 of those 4, that would be a good,
Sounds good.
that would be useful for the board, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess the other item on the same topic, I was going to suggest the board, if you go down the same list, we have, you have said under consideration allocation to address water, sewer, infrastructure, and that is Tomashan, Boston Harbor. So my request was going to be for you to consider moving 300,000 out of that so they can start doing the design of that piece of infrastructure. And
I don't have any problem with that. I already
and that was going to be my next request, but if you need additional information, please let me know. Because that's going to take time. And the reason for this request also is making sure that we probably do enough engineering to replace this piece of infrastructure. And that will position ourselves in a good position when the federal government passes this infrastructure plan. And at that point, really, you wouldn't need perhaps to spend this money if we have other avenues to access that.
But we're going to need to do the pre-engineering.
But I think it will be good for to Public Works to position themselves and do the design to see what is it that we need to do on the sewer and water. And my request again is 300,000. Although I believe that 7.2 that is under the consideration category.
So you've got Tamashan and Boston Harbor. Is this 300,000 going to pay for all the design for all of that? And is there one that's more critically important than the other?
I'd like to probably suggest the 300,000, not just for one, but for all to begin the design on all of them. They may not cover everything, but at least to begin the design of it. I'm not suggesting that 300,000 will cover the design of all 4 of them, no.
Are we going to be going out for bids for that?
Oh, yeah, we have to.
Okay.
They have the master contract for that type of work.
Bids for construction?
No, just for the engineering.
No, we have to see
Are we
whether
going to do that
have
in-house?
whether we have the expertise in-house or not, but they do have options to hire a consultant.
Yeah, okay.
On a master plan, not through an RFP.
Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Mejia.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, I'm a little nervous about this one. I mean, just like I didn't want to, just like I said, I wasn't ready to commit 8.5 million to the core. I'm not ready to commit 7.28 million. And I feel like taking this step and doing all the engineering for all of it is essentially committing me to that. I mean, in a sense, because you're expending resources toward that ultimate goal, and I'm just not there yet. So I'm not, if one was more important than the other, and I could say, okay, I'll take that leap as to, Boston Harbor because it's in worse shape. But just to say, yeah, we're going forward on $7.28 million worth of utility upgrades, I'm just not there for all the reasons I'm not ready to write a check for $8.5 million for the court system.
Yeah, Commissioner, I'm not suggesting for you to commit to the $7.2 million. But it takes time to go through the design and environmental permitting. So that is really, with all due respect, if you make the decision next year, and then we may running out of time in terms of doing what we need to do to design, permit, and be ready for construction in order for us to meet the December 2024 deadline. So I'm not suggesting for you to commit the $7.2 million. That's not my request. It's for you to consider moving so we can start the engineering.
It sounds like you've got 2 votes for, I'm not there, but it sounds like you've got 2 votes for that.
Okay, let me ask one other question before we move on this. The broadband expansion, that's $5 million, but I don't want to use the word that's so we have money to manipulate or play with, but that is a complete unknown as to what's going to be coming there, right? So I feel a little more comfortable in this category of doing the engineering ahead of time, because I at least on this water and septic, because I know the headaches that go along with that. I've been a water purveyor in the past. And anyway, it takes a long time sometimes to get those done. So I am going to be a yes vote on that.
Yeah, I'm a no on that, but it sounds like Commissioner Mejia and Commissioner Edwards are 2-1.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I do think we need to hear more about it.
Okay, let's go to item 3, county revenue update.
Is that where you no more requests on this sheet?
That's the only thing.
Oh.
I think that was enough.
Okay. Good enough.
So we're going to use this, all this on the next item.
Okay. Not?
Don't put it apart.
Oh.
That is part of it.
Oh. I just didn't see you holding it up.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it folded up. Okay, good enough. Okay.
So the first is an email that I received from WASAC dated September 14, 12:57 p.m. That was last Tuesday, almost 1 o'clock. And the question is, whether do I agree with this? So looking as to what this is.
You're looking at an email right now, right? I want to make sure I got it right here. Okay, got it. Yep.
So what this is related to the city-county assistance program that we received. As you may recall, when Robin was walking you through early in the calculations of the projections for the budget, we received this year way more than we were expecting. And it was a significant amount more than what we're expecting in terms of the city-county assistance related to the sales tax. Well, this information, what it does is as you can see, in the second paragraph of the email, the WhatsApp forwarded that to me. It says, in summary, in 2022, Thurston and Island counties are no longer eligible to receive the city-county assistance. And also they drop other cities related to this particular assistance. So what it does is the county will not be receiving this assistance in 2022 because the formulation is such that we have additional increase in populations, I believe, as well as additional sales tax revenue. These county city assistants that no longer they meet the threshold for us to receive the money.
How much?
I think it's at 1.2.
We get anywhere from 1.5 to 1.8 million dollars a year. And this year, you may recall during the budget previews in early September, this year we're going to receive $4 million from this revenue source.
We were going to?
We are in 2021. We will never receive any again.
What, would you make somebody mad?
It is just really the formulation in which how they allocate the sales tax and the county city assistance. And this by the Department of Revenue at the state. So, and this is related to the 3000 Pacific, really, in a way. And Robin is going to walk you through, attached to use this projection as to what that loss of revenue has an impact on this spreadsheet that you're already well familiar with.
I'm gonna go get my budget stuff. I'll be.
Okay. So, while we wait for Commissioner Mejia.
She's grabbing hers, I guess I'll grab mine. Am I gonna need it?
Okay.
Am I gonna need it?
I don't think you're going
Oh,
to need
okay.
it, but you're certainly welcome to have
No,
it.
I don't need it if you don't say so. You're
This is
the guide.
I've given you a copy of the thing you did.
no.
What you may want is to compare it to the last one that we did. That would be useful.
Well, can you just point out whatever changes are on here?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do exactly that.
I'm gonna take your word for it.
So one of the things I included in your packet is a copy of the revenue guide that is produced by MRSC. So I included this so that you could see the revenue source. This is only 3 pages out of 100 and, almost 200 page guide. But it tells you exactly what this was. It's called City County Assistance Funding. And it was the state, when real estate excise tax comes into the state over a specific dollar amount, they share that amount with what they call distressed cities and counties. So that's what the source of the money is. It was originally intended as MVET backfill.
Say that again, MVET?
Backfill.
Okay.
So in 2005, when the laws changed around the motor vehicle excise tax, cities and counties lost a lot of money. And one step that the state of Washington took was to establish this particular revenue stream. So it's revenue sharing. The eligibility computation, it says right here, is complicated. It's very complicated. I can't do it myself. However, it is rooted in sales tax and unincorporated county population. So they go through this computation, and Romero gave you a copy of the worksheet that we received. This is the computation for every county. And here's the sales tax comes in 2 parts. And so it's the first $0.005 sales tax for 2021. This is a state fiscal year. In Thurston County in 2021 was $11.6 million. Our unincorporated population is 145,820. That gets you to a per capita of $79.41. So far, the math is easy, and I've been able to verify those three numbers. The number I can't verify, because I don't know how Department of Revenue does it, is in this per capita excess or deficiency. You see a positive number for Thurston County of $4.59. When you look down this column, you see many counties with negative numbers. Those are the counties that are going to share in this distribution. Thurston County in the past had a deficiency. We had a negative number in these computations. So we got a share of this money. But now that we're in a positive category, excess, according to Department of Revenue, we will no longer share in this distribution. And if you look at last year's numbers, which you don't have, you'll see that last year, the sales tax amount was $9,600,000, 9.6 million. And the population was 145,300. 145,300 was the population in unincorporated Thurston County. So really what has happened here is our sales tax growth, which we've been talking about, has been so extreme that we have essentially priced ourselves out of. We've grown, the sales tax has grown at such a rate. Our unincorporated population has hardly grown at all. And
by 500.
500 people in unincorporated Thurston County. And this complex computation shows that we are no longer, according to their numbers, we are no longer in need of this revenue. So that's what happened. Go ahead.
To add context to that conversation, so just to give a perspective, the counties who will be continue to receive this assistance, just briefly going to list it, is Assun County, Ferry County, Mason County, Okanogan County, Ponderay County, Skamania,
It's everybody with a deficit.
Stevens,
Yeah.
yep, Wakaikam. Those are the counties with a smaller population and their economy are not doing this great. So I think we can be victim of our success if I may.
So that's what happened. That's what has happened. And Romero just got notice of this little afternoon, almost 1 o'clock on September the 14th in the afternoon. That's the first we had heard about it. But because it is a significant change, I wanted you to have the information and how it impacts the budget that we've been looking at. So rather than wait until October when we do our next budget update, I wanted to bring it to you now. You're very familiar with the forecast. And when you compare it to the last one, the place I made the change is in revenue under maintenance level, other revenue adjustments. I've taken out $1.5 million because that's how much we're definitely not going to get anymore.
So you're taking that out of the 2.4 million?
So I took it out 920. If you look in the 22 column, that used to be $1.5 million higher.
That used to be 1.5 million higher?
Higher, yeah. I stripped it out. I stripped it out in future years because where
So it was 2.4 or something before?
yeah, roughly. I don't have that piece of paper with me. And to make the future years continue to balance, I reduced the amount that you would estimate that you will spend on policy level items. That had been at 3 million, now it is at 1.5.
And going on each year from now on, we're not gonna be eligible, is that what you're
That
saying?
is exactly what I'm saying.
Unless our economy tanks in the future and we're all of a sudden eligible for that.
Yeah, and then that takes a few years to catch up to it, to become
Yeah.
eligible.
So I'm seeing two changes here, Robin. So is it okay if I ask a question
Yeah.
now?
Yes, please, go ahead.
So on the Blake decision, I see it went less, that got adjusted now. Is that the new numbers that we're getting from the clerk's office?
So you may not have the most recent copy of the forecast in your book. That was changed after the board made some decisions.
Okay.
So yes, the number on the new page you have today, and you should have an interim between, but then this is the new numbers for Blake, lower. That's because the clerk's office realized that they had been double counting some cases.
Okay, and then so policy level changes went from 2 million to 1.5.
The last conversation we had, they were up to 3 million, and now they are at 1.5.
Back up my notes.
After our last meeting, I had, I printed new copies and handed those out. You may not have that in your binder.
I do not. So, okay, I'm just a little confused at kind of the numbers. So I thought we had a total of $2 million to start off with that we could spend on policy level. And then if we like did shifts around and, if we did the atrium, if we didn't do the atrium, it would be 4.2. If we did a road shift reduction, it could go up to 3.5. So now, just with that, now the total number is 1.5.
Yes.
But
At this
it
point
actually
in
was up
time,
to 3 last week.
it was up to 3 last week, yes,
So-
to not, I mean, I want to be absolutely transparent. The other thing that I will tell you is, as we've talked about, these forecasts change. They will continue to change as we refine numbers in the budget system. As more information comes available like this is a negative item. We'll see the next round of sales tax before you start to make decisions in October.
We may find out a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, things will go up and down as you move toward your decision. This is part of the process.
So that is probably what this information is relevant for the item for your consideration this afternoon on the 3000 Pacific. And I think that's what Commissioner Mason was alluding to the fact earlier in the conversation.
You're strengthening my argument, basically, on this whole thing, which makes it tough for me to say, I'm not saying, I'm trying to be diplomatic about this as I move forward with it, but it's, that flexibility in this case is very detrimental to us. And what happens in the end on the whole atrium move, if you will, is that's gonna be pretty much funded only by county residents. It's not gonna be funded by any of the incorporated residents as much as it is the county residents. As we move forward on that. It's not quite the same as a, say, bond issue or something and where everybody's paying.
Every revenue, property tax, and is across the county.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
had we done a vote and got the authority from the voters to move forward, it's from everybody.
It is from everybody today.
Except it's, if we go to the atrium now, it's gonna be strictly on the county taxpayers picking up the bulk of it rather than the municipals.
It's countywide.
Because the revenues that you see up here,
Yeah.
property tax, sales tax, is across the county.
Whole county.
So there is not a unincorporated areas of the county that solely pay property tax and sales tax. No.
No, but the municipalities have their own property tax and sales tax.
They have property
won't
tax
be
in
contributed.
addition to, but our property tax is applied equally to both incorporated and unincorporated areas,
Yes.
equally.
But if we did a across-the-board bond where everything was going into building a new courthouse, 300
Well,
million,
that's different. I mean,
that's the difference, is what
That's
I'm
different.
talking
You're right. I mean, if the board consideration to put on the ballot last April in 2020 to raise the levy.
And had been approved.
It had been approved, was countywide.
Then it's countywide.
It's an election because it's related to the property tax.
Yes, but now it's gonna be just the unincorporated citizens that are gonna be funding this activity.
No, that's not
I
accurate.
still don't agree with that, Commissioner, with all due respect. This is an expenditure. The line item that you see here is an expenditure. And the revenues up here is property taxes and sales taxes that generated across the county.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm the wrong one to argue that anyway. I'm not a money person in regards to that.
So this
But
is the.
it does strengthen
This is the
my
picture.
argument that
This is
this
the
thing
picture
is
today.
beneficial.
So again, full disclosure and transparency and assurance that the board has all the facts to be able to make decisions. And as staff, we are objective and put this information in front of you, and the decision is yours to make.
Let me just ask something having to do with CARES money. And these different, just using the backlog that's been created by the virus, not talking about Blake. Why couldn't we rent office space to cover all that and figure out a plan to remodel this place right here for general government? And I mean, that falls in line with what I'm objecting to as far as moving down to Pacific Avenue.
So the proposal for the court backlogs is to rent space specifically for that purpose and to pay for that out of the recovery fund. Which again, you're calling it CARES money, the CARES money's gone,
Right,
but it's the recovery fund, the
Yeah,
COVID
that
money.
federal money, but.
Yep, we're gonna do that.
But
That's
along with that, why
part of the
can't
proposal.
we continue with that line of thought? And we're gonna, because of social distancing and air handlers that aren't adequate and everything else, why couldn't we just move over to that? I thought there was 50,000 feet
We've
available.
done all we can with the COVID money here on the courthouse. We can't do the remodel, and the plan for the remodel is the 50 million in bonds out of REIT. That is the plan.
Boy, lots of maybes in that whole thing, though. Anyway, if we don't go down the Pacific, we're gonna have to come up with Plan C, right? Because that's Plan B. So,
Pacific was Plan B.
yeah, okay.
And can you, you've got the fund balance sheet also in the packet?
I do. When I changed the forecast chart, I attached the chart that the board likes to see that shows that in this scenario, we have, the plan is to spend down fund balance for a number of years, but you hit kind of a plateau in 2027. Should all of this play out, it is a little bit below a 2-month reserve by a little, not a lot, but it is below until 2030 when you start to come back into the line and growth begins to outstrip the expenses. Growth in revenue outstrips expenses.
Can you
So,
explain,
it's
can you
still a
explain, the-
stable plan.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, can you just explain the fund balance, bar drops a lot, in a lot much greater magnitude than the difference between revenue and expenditures, like from say 2022 to 2027? And what is playing into that discrepancy?
The fact that the fund balance is dropping?
Yeah, like say 2024 to 2025, fund balance is dropping several $1 million. The revenue expenditure gap is much smaller than that.
It does start to close, but it doesn't turn around until 2028, 2029, when things start to get flat. So when it's just a mathematical function of so much more. You'll see that there's a big drop between 23 and 24 when there's a substantial gap in 24 between revenues and expenses. When that gap starts to close, it's a more narrow gap. The drop is not as great, but it's still dropping because you're still spending more than you're bringing in by design. And remember, we've got the, I have lost revenue factored in that we'll claim from the COVID money if you follow this plan from the recovery fund. That kind of, well, it does kind of, it absolutely goes away after 2024. That causes a drop in 25. But then you start to close the gap if you hold expenditures to a certain level and your revenue starts to grow at a moderate rate.
Chair?
Yep.
Can I jump in there?
Yes.
You've got the Blake LFO, $7 million in there.
The Blake decision, yes.
Okay. And COLA's at
Yes.
2.5. Okay, and then we're not gonna remove, we're gonna keep the diversion going on the road fund? So we're not gonna quit diverting, is that what
You
we're
see the
saying?
diversion stepping down 500,000 at a time to wipe out the levy shift
Right,
over time.
Yeah.
That's on the revenue side
Yeah.
of the equation.
so we're not gonna do that?
No,
That would be slowly stepping it down. That's
It's right
included.
here.
Right there.
Yeah, this line item is the road diversion. You see a negative.
So-
See, we're
That means it
slowly
starts-
taking that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay, here's what I need to ask you about. The $7 million for Blake,
Yep.
that is that talking about money that we may or may not get from the state? Or is that talking about the potential we might get stuck with from the county general fund?
So look on the top, on
Okay.
on the expenditures.
Yes,
You have a line item called Blake Decision.
yes.
That is the revenue that we're receiving from the state.
Yeah, but
how
that's
much
not
we know.
anywhere near $7 million.
No, it's not.
That's absolutely
Yeah,
right.
It's right.
Okay, so
We
that-
could be left hanging.
that's kind of an unknown. And I've made the argument in the past that we ought to let them sue us to get it, that we shouldn't be taking money out of the general fund to pay that legal financial obligation or not. I don't think we're obligated to drain our general fund. So that puts us in a real pickle if any of that comes to fruition. But the COLA at 2.5, I see we're gonna be in a big problem as inflation takes over and we go into negotiations over the next few years. And I just wonder if that's reflected in your flexible chart here.
So I have only built in, we've talked about assumptions before. I've built in the COLA at 2.5%, could be more.
Well,
In
if
future
inflation
years,
takes
maybe
off the
less.
way it looks like it's going right now,
Yep.
it's gonna be way more.
But that will be part of the negotiations of the contracts next year. What the
Sure.
two have is the current contracts that we
But
have.
we've got a lot of unknown coming down the pike, kind of like the state kicking the box out from underneath us on revenue sharing.
So much like any other day, we have a lot of unknowns.
I would guess this day is a little more problematic than just a normal any other day, because the state is taking a bunch of money, we already know that. And we can take a pretty good shot. You look at the forecast for inflation, it's not transitory. It is coming. And that's just the way life's gonna be. And the Blake thing, if we were forced, that we really had to pay that. I mean, we're in pretty dire financial straits. You've got it looking, okay, kind of, but in reality, we might be in a real pickle.
Well, in reality, we also might be in a flower garden. This is a moderate forecast. This is not
And
optimistic.
on the flip side, and Commissioner, was you can make the point that perhaps even the sales tax assumptions are conservative in here.
I know, I think we're gonna do better.
Which we want, and one thing is you're discussing the expenditures, correct, but also on the revenue side, this is extremely conservative outlook. It will maybe the sales tax can continue on for the next 2-3 years, which, is also gonna be so there's all that balance.
And then I'll throw one more caveat in there, and that's how is the more modern workforce gonna work? Are we gonna work from home versus are we gonna be in the office? I know there's certain jobs you don't have a choice. But I think it was Amazon just postponed their move and returned to the office. And now they're saying it's maybe not going to happen.
My daughter works at Amazon. I know what they're doing.
So isn't that what they're saying, that they postponed it? They were supposed to go back October 1st,
They
right?
have postponed, but they will be returning to the
Well,
office
that's
eventually.
yet to be determined. Boeing
Yeah.
folks are
They
same
had-
thing.
They had told her 6 months ago that the telework would be permanent, and then they changed their minds because at Amazon, they determined the productivity was not as high under telecommuting. So they were calling people back. The only reason that she is home now is due to the Delta variant and that people are not vaccinated.
And my daughter-in-law works for Microsoft, and they have been informed they're returning to work soon.
Boeing management says they can gauge the productivity at a higher level. So I don't know, maybe it's the caliber of employees, but yet to be determined is kind of what's gonna happen.
Boeing is a different because manufacturing, they cannot do telework in manufacturing.
No, well, they can't build the airplane, but they can engineer it. And that's the group that I was talking to. Anyway.
Commissioner Mejia, do you have anything here?
No, just concerned.
This is-
So it's bringing all that information to you. And the way you see it, there is a plan conservative, looking at all the issues, there is a plan. If you consider to go with the 3,000 Pacific this afternoon, it is part of this plan. And that's what I want to make sure that be put in a position to make a decision such as the 3,000 Pacific without you having this larger picture. And that's really what the point of this conversation.
Our Chair, are you about ready to move on to public testimony or other commissioner items? What do you got in mind?
I don't know that I am. I haven't made any real comment about this yet, and I'd like to. The concern that I have is, the timing of this is just really not ideal.
That's a good way to put it.
Because, and not just because we were, not just because we have the decision this afternoon on the agenda, but because we're like, what? We're literally 10 days away from budget presentations. Now, I have a little bit of an idea of what the offices and departments are going to present in some cases because I meet regularly with elected officials and department heads, but I don't have a complete sense. But what I have been told by a lot of different directors and elected officials is that they've been very patient and restrained the last 2+ years in what they've asked for and what they think and asking the board to fund their core needs. And so there's going to be a lot of sort of pent up demand, if I put it that way, for the policy level dollars. I am, I don't share a lot of the concerns Commissioner Edwards outlined. I am absolutely certain that the space that the atrium would provide meets an absolute core need of this county. But I don't have yet a complete picture of all the core needs of the county. It's, it's not the only need of the county. It's one really, really important one, but I'd feel quite a bit more comfortable. I was more comfortable knowing I had $3 to $3.5 million to meet those other core needs than I am with 1.5 million, knowing there's $13.5 million coming, and I haven't even seen all of those yet, and I won't for another couple of weeks. So I don't know where the timing all shakes out. I don't know if there are other tenants lined up to sign a lease at the atrium, but boy, would I like to be able to see what I'm saying no. If I say yes this afternoon to this, or this afternoon or whenever, what am I saying no to? I haven't even been presented. I don't know if there's a way for the commissioners to get previews of the forms that that the budget packets are going to end up having for us, but I haven't seen a full presentation of what the county's full needs are, and this is a lot of money to with now a reduced revenue picture. It's a big decision to take that big of a chunk towards this one goal without seeing all the other goals. I mean, that's just where I am. I don't believe telework is going to mean we don't need this space. I don't believe that sales tax. I don't share a lot of the concerns Commissioner Edwards has, but I do have my own set of concerns of wanting to do the best job of allocating our dollars to meet the core needs of county government. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm struggling with this and feeling that I want to pull this trigger at 2 p.m. given everything that was just presented this morning.
Are you waiting for an argument from me?
No, Commissioner, I know exactly. I'm really hoping Commissioner Mejia will weigh in because I've heard less from her about this.
Okay.
I have concerns. I mean, I feel like this also just threw kind of like a wrench in everything, and I'm nervous with the numbers I'm, now being presented with the $13 million worth of requests, and just having $1.5 million. And, I have also been meeting with offices and departments talking about, their budget needs, and I'm hearing the same things you are, Commissioner Menser. And so
I'm kind of uneasy. I'm just, I really am uneasy and hesitant at this point, just with the numbers that were being presented right now. And I understand they're more of a conservative kind of forecast. But at this time, I'm kind of leaning where you are, Commissioner Menzer. I'm just, I'm not there, just with the new numbers we're being presented. And this was, I also would like to see kind of like what the requests are, just to say, to know, you know, okay, if I'm saying yes to this, like, you know, then what other $1.5 million worth of requests that I could have said yes to, am I going to say no to? I'm just kind of taking it all in.
All right, well, here's my proposal, because we're not gonna, it's after 12 and we still have 2 executive sessions. So I don't think the board is ready to vote on this afternoon. I'm gonna propose that it be put for the time being onto the 28th of September. And that'll give us time to process what is going on. And it may be that we're not ready on the 28th of September, but I think that we need to at least move this forward, and moving it forward means not having an action this afternoon, because I don't think we can do that in light of what I've heard from the board.
I think I see a heading nods from the other 2 commissioners, so we'll remove the item from this afternoon to next week, and then we'll embark on another series of conversations on that next Tuesday morning.
Thank you, Ramiro.
Thank you.
Then let's move to the next item, public testimony.
I already addressed what I was going to suggest this afternoon, commissioners.
Other commissioner items before executive session. Anything of time sensitivity? Commissioner Edwards?
I got a couple real quick ones.
Okay.
Does the prosecuting attorney's office and the defense counsel folks, do they get this JAG money now? Are they getting it now?
We need to look into that, Commissioner. We don't have an answer for you on the spot, but we will definitely get one for you.
And okay, I guess, and then I'll just follow up, if they are getting it now, did they meet the criteria?
That is part of what we need to look into.
So why can't we get the rest of it if we've met the criteria in one fashion?
Give us the time to check.
Okay, so enough of that. Okay, I won't say that anymore. Does anybody know anything about a new fee being proposed for applicants for open space? If we go into open space, I'm told that their staff said that the cost for an applicant for an application is $1,600.
Do you know what open space is? The assessor's open space or the commissioner's open space?
Yeah, well, you would have to ask me that. I probably don't know that, but I've got it here somewhere. But it's a new fee. Jennifer Davis knows about it because she's the one that was talking to the ag folks about that. And that I didn't know that there was that big of a fee. I thought we were trying to encourage people to go to open space. So, okay, so if you can find out, good enough. Okay, I'm done.
Commissioner Mejia?
No, not at this time.
I just have one quick thing. Next Monday is the Climate Steering Committee, and we've set aside money for implementation of climate work. City of Olympia is proposing, I've been given a heads up, they're going to propose on Monday a $30,000 study that would look at, it would be assessing the, for electrification of buildings, it would be doing an assessment of the true cost to to builders, to home buyers, trying to piece this out so that a program could get, could be, so that the actual true cost could be known and understood by the policymakers when we work on some of these strategies in the climate plan. It seemed like a really smart idea. each jurisdiction, if each jurisdiction contributed equally, it would be $7,500. So I was inclined to support $7,500 of our $300,000 that we set aside toward this goal. It seems to be directly related to the work that we set aside the money for. But I wanted to kind of run it by the board. If there's objection to that, I can take no position or not support it. I know it's going to come up for discussion. Olympia is promoting it. They've got, and if the county were there, then that would, I think, pressure Lacey and Tomwater to contribute as well. So I just wanted to kind of get a board's temperature on that proposal.
I'm okay with that.
Can you outline the specific requested amount, Commissioner, just for my notes?
75.
Well, right now it would be right now it's $7,500.
Okay.
Because the proposed study would cost $30,000 and there'd be split 4 ways.
Okay.
And we've already earmarked money to cover that.
I would propose it come out of the money we earmarked for climate implementation.
They just need to send us an.
I do have one other thing I'd throw in along with that discussion though, with the chair, is if we eventually go to electrification, the same as with vehicles, do we have the basic infrastructure in place? Because the goal is to get away from the carbon fuel, okay? I guess, right? Do we have the infrastructure in place to accommodate all of that when it seems like we sometimes make such a tremendous jump in trying to get to our end goal that we might be sitting there in the cold? And that's my question. So for much more discussion to come.
Yeah, I think there's a white paper. I think one of the white papers that we are funding with our phase $3 is touching on that issue. And there's definitely discussions happening about that. So,
good.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So with that, I appreciate the board's support. Let's go to our executive session, item 6. Looks like we've got 2 back-to-back. The first one is RCW 4230-1101I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation, specifically Mallinckrodt Pharmaceutical. Then we will have a second, which will relate to RCW 4231-10B, to consider the selection of a site or acquisition of real estate by lease or purchase when public knowledge regarding such consideration would cause a likelihood of increased price. Potential building option is the topic. Commissioner's action may follow. Ramiro, how long are we estimating for these 2 sessions?
I will probably suggest it's 15 minutes each, a total of 30 minutes.
So it's 12:13. We'll estimate to come back at 12:43.
Thank you.
And then I'll wait for a signal that we're offline. And then I'll turn.